In 1693, the Spanish government decreed that if people, they sort of created almost a sanctuary city in St. Augustine. If people could come south and were willing to fight against the British, because the Spanish didn't have the numbers to fight. So how could they encourage people? They realized they could do that if they recruited African descendant people. And how could they do that? They could do that by offering their freedom. And they were willing to do that as long as they would fight against the British and if they would convert to Catholicism. I'm Dr. Lori Lee. I'm Keenan Distinguished Associate Professor of Anthropology, and I've been at Flagler College for 8 years. So it was a process, it wasn't an event. So when they first arrived, people weren't freed, and they didn't all come from South Carolina. People came from the Caribbean, and they weren't all immediately emancipated. But eventually, people were given their freedom, and in 1738, they built a fort out, the first fort at Fort Mose, and that was occupied from 1738 to 1740 until Oglethorpe's raid. As a result of that, the folks who were living and working at Fort Mose moved into St. Augustine and started working in the militia and at the Castillo. So they intensified their relationships with local people, Spanish, African descendant people, free and enslaved, and indigenous peoples. So marriages resulted from that. And when the second fort was built in 1752 to 1763, it was in place during the Spanish period, and they moved back out there. It was a very multiculturally rich community. When the Spanish ceded the land to the British, they took folks who lived in St. Augustine to Matanzas, Cuba with them. They also took the people at Fort Mose and their families with them, right? So they knew that if those folks remained in place, they would likely be re-enslaved.